Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. In today's video, we're checking out Kalene over on Kiasma's account. We've got the 30 signature item, 9 furniture, and 60 engraving. So we are maxed out, ready to go. Now, there's a few things that I want to look at her. I'm still figuring her out, figuring out what teams to use her in and stuff like that. To me, she's more of a tech pick in some Graveborn teams. At this stage, I think, maybe we find some more, but at the moment, she sort of finds home in those Graveborn teams. Bringing that bit of control. I feel like if her mechanics in her skills worked a bit better, like I spoke about in my previous video, she could become a lot better as well. But as it stands, I still really like her. I still think the character design is top notch, like top 2 to 3 favorite heroes, 100%. The Hellhounds are absolutely savage. I love it. But in this one, I'll show you a couple things, her front row, her back row, different deficits, stuff like that. At this one, we do have the Winged Warden. Now, the idea here is that we're going to be able to steal some of that regeneration. We do have her in the front row for this one to try and proc this. Or we could just go for the straight energy hit at the start of the battle if we need the silences. It depends on the way your team is looking. I am running Desire in this one, so we do get that CC as well from Desire coming through. So the timings, we'll look at it anyway. Let's just jump into it. So this is the battle that I wanted to show. So this is in the King's Tower at a 200 level deficit. In this one, I put a star in there purely because I had this Odin that kept portaling the top unit, the top tank, and a star is immune to it with her thing. Also, she provides some damage mitigation. She does just die instantly anyway, but she was just one of those ones to provide that little bit of mitigation, stall out that top front row, and then we can play from there. Now, obviously, we have Odin. Odin's just OP. I just had to bring him in. I tried to bring in Desire because she's not the #1 always healer, and then we brought in Fane as well, just because I really like Fane and his kit, and I figure with the grouping and pushing enemies back and trying to keep them in spot, honestly, I just wanted to use this guy because I think he's cool, and I just wanted to slot him in. And at the 200 level deficit on Kiasma, it's not horrible in the King's Tower to be able to play with a few other units. So let's just play this replay and have a look. Like I said, I put a star in there so that she could avoid that first portal by the Odin and stop having her dropped on someone else. Because whenever I had someone else there, yes, I could have CC'd the Odin, but whenever I had someone else there, they would be dropping on and just destroying the rest of my team. So the thing that I really love about this is we've got the Hellhounds out. We've obviously going to have the 2 enemies that are the targets, meaning when we ult, we get the double ults. Now, unfortunately, the first ult in this one, we didn't hit both of them. And this one, you can see that they're spread out. So when Kalene does use her ult, it's going to be spread. Ideally, I'd love to stack those circles so that the enemies are stacked. It just comes down to a bit of RNG with Odin and stuff like that. But in general, this is the sort of thing. If you have the support for her, I feel like she can still work in the front row. Now, when we get to higher deficits, she's going to be more of a back row unit. We're looking at your standard Grizzle comp to tech her into because, at higher deficits, it just becomes too much damage. So that was the first one I wanted to show you guys. That was with her in the front row at the lower 200 level deficit. But if we jump over here to campaign, because Kiasma's account's been pushing super hard in campaign, and we jump into it, you can see here that we are at a 334 level deficit. So it's getting a bit steep on the deficit. Teams are getting harder to build. You can have a look at the sort of teams that Kiasma is rolling with. Just some pretty, you can't really experiment too much. So this is the team that we are going to look at with her teched into. Now, I didn't come up with this team. I jumped into Kiasma and this was set up and it worked. I was like, sick. I don't even have to think. But yeah, as you can tell, you're just using straight meta teams. Like in the video I spoke about with Artie. If you haven't seen that video, it's a really good video going through game teams. We've got the Charm team. We've got the Lucretia 5-pull team. Now, sometimes you don't have to use Lucretia in 5-pull, but that one is set up. We've got Ulna Grizzle. We've got the old the Thorin cheese here, the Thorin Pipper with the drop. And then finally, we have the Da Vinci team, and that's pretty much where we're at. Like, Kiasma's not doing much experimenting with fun comps at this stage, so the fact that we were slotting her into this one was quite satisfying. So I'm just going to chuck it in, and we'll watch it. If it fails, I'll just cut and I'll retry, and I'll get a replay that we can look at one-time speed with it working. But this team, with the Mortis is pretty key in this team. But obviously we are at this massive deficit. Most players here are going to have these types of units. And Mortis obviously giving the team the main sustain that it's going to have to allow the team to actually get through. Otherwise, we didn't have the sustain, you would struggle. So Mortis is huge for this. Now, in this one, you know, she does provide that bit of control. You've got 2 enemies stacked up over there. We did lose the Ulna, so this one could end up being for fail. Here comes her ultimate with the double enemies and the double circles. We get rid of the Oscar there. We might still be fine here without the Ulna now that we've ramped up. But yeah, I mean, she does provide that control. You'll see at the end here, she doesn't do a hell of a lot of damage compared to something like the Odin. The Odin really excels in this sort of stuff. And he's just an absolute savage in general. But you know, you could probably, we'll go ahead here and we'll sub her out. You could probably sub her out for, like, you know, Pharrell or maybe a Silas or a healer. I think you'd kind of want some more control more than anything in this team. But you could probably sub her out, still make the team work. But you know, I like seeing her in the team anyway, so it's a little bit satisfying. The cool thing that I noticed with her in this one, I don't know if she did it in this run through. We'll do one more run through just to have a look. But with the enemies that lunge, you know, she is nice having her back there with her Hound, who's going to stun and knock back those enemies that do decide to lunge. Whereas, you know, when she's in the front row, I don't like the timing of it, where it takes her like 5-6 seconds, I can't even remember, might be longer, to actually get that tail swipe. If that thing was like just an instant proc as soon as it happened, I think she'd be a lot more stronger in that situation. But nonetheless, that is the team. It's just going to take us a while. And as you can see, because we've killed enemies, she sort of snowballs. Because we've killed enemies and got more Hounds out, then the Hounds start adding that extra damage, and she sort of snowballs really well because we just keep getting more Hounds because we create new targets that we're focusing on. So pretty nice. Let's take a look at the damage. Like I said, you know, she's not crazy. We do have 2 other major damage dealers, and when you look at her as a pure control unit, I don't think she has the highest control. So I think at those lower deficits, she's going to be really nice when you can take her into the front row. And then these later games, it's just going to be come to the factor of teching her in to test the RNG, see if it works, see if she works better than someone else. Maybe her silence lands at the perfect time, and that's what allows a team to win. And that's where it becomes at these later stages. It's like, it's not like, okay, this is just the go-to best because it has more CC on it. It's like, what is the timing of this stuff happening? Changing artifacts to, you know, adjust when that silence comes, all that sort of stuff. Also, you know, you got the Hounds who are going to do a stun as well, which when does that time in? There's a lot of RNG that comes into these type of stages that I think, you know, she's going to be that tech option that sometimes she'll work better than other things in certain teams. But, you know, those are the 2 things that I wanted to show you. Like I said, it's getting hard to experiment and play with fun things on Kiasma when we're pushing this far. But at least I was happy that we could look at something where she was playing in the front row, and then something where, you know, we're at massive deficits where she is playing in the back row. So that is going to be it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.